Perhaps one of the most forgotten game modes, Brawl is a 3v3 auto-fighting simulator where you can set up teams, create custom AI, and climb the ranks to win absolutely nothing. So why bother? Well, Brawl has its own shop separate from regular PvP, where you can get normally unobtainable resources, such as gold chests, chalices, and UR stones. So if you really want to waste your time for non-existent bragging rights about how you're top 100 in a game mode with literally zero skill, here's everything you need to know. So for whatever reason you are still interested in brawling, but before we can actually do that, we do need to understand how it works. So if you come over to Draw on the left side of the PvP arena, you will see the Brawl interface. Starting with the Brawl rank reward, it is available to claim once a day. This will break down the amount of coins that you can receive depending on your placement. So bottom of the barrel will get 500 coins, while top 100 can get anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000. Now the victory reward is also available once a day, and it is claimable after 3 wins. You'll receive a Brawl victory box, and it will randomly contain one of the following resources. Now you can only have up to 5 entry tickets at a time, and unfortunately these are not available to claim anywhere else, aside from recharging every 2 hours or using gems if you are down bad enough. Now sometimes there are exclusive rules in effect, but typically this is your normal PvP rule, where if you take too long, everybody will just start to die to corrosion. Now the Brawl match list is going to have a range of about 100 to 150 or so players. You'll have 3 people above you and 3 people below you. This list will automatically refresh every 10 minutes, or you can manually refresh it every 10 seconds. Now you can choose to attack anyone above you or below you, and successful attacks, you will take their place. Simultaneously, anyone attacking you successfully will take your place. Now under Brawl record, you can see the last 5 matches that were played, whether they were defense or attacks. Now if they were attacks, you can rewatch each match replay in case you want to make adjustments to your AI, but you cannot watch any of the defending matches. So I'll also tell you who attacked you, what guild they're in, and how it affected your placement. Now at the bottom here, you can also see team combat class of each one of your teams, and when you go to fight another player, you will also see their total defending versus your total offending, but you will not see each of their individual team CCs. You can also adjust the teams that you attack in case you are looking for positive matchups. I would also recommend turning on the skip function so that you do not have to watch every battle, since you can just go back and watch the matches you do want to see. So now we can talk about actual team building. When you go to the team builder, you will see the Brawl tab, and you can edit all 3 of your teams here. No unit can be used more than once, including links across all 3 teams. Now Brawl is geared, so that means yes, gear does apply, along with artifacts, constellations, and box buffs. You can see the current CC and how it will reflect your last saved CC. You can auto set for whatever reason. And here at the bottom, it will also show you how each unit has an association, a normal link, no link, or a combined attack. And we'll talk about it at the team status as well here. The first thing we are going to talk about is Suicide. Now this is going to consist of either Blue Fraudrin or Blue Princess Liz. The idea behind it is that without gear and links, they should get one shot and die relatively easily, and helping us get the ultimates of the other 2 units, which should be heavy AoE nukers. So their ults should be 6/6, and they should be AoE. Now the backline can be a stat booster, so you could do Ragbon, you could probably do Death Pierce, you could do Green Mela, you could also do one of the backline Jerichos, depending on the attributes that you're running. This could also be a Suicide stopper, such as Athena or Gearhead with Relic. Now the card set that I would use for this probably is going to be full attack without any defense stats. So like these back 2 cards where there's no HP. I think there's also ones that have attack but no... oh, like this. Attack with no other stats. This way you don't risk your Suicide units staying alive, especially if you have them, you know, past level 60 6 stars. The next thing we're going to go over is the Angel team. Now this does have a couple different variations. The first one, you could either do Light Liz or the OG Goddess Liz, and then currently I'm doing it with Margaret, Tarmiel, and a Nashi backline. This is actually the only time that you're probably going to see Nanashi used ever in the game, because he does have a decent passive with some ult control. If you don't have Nanashi, you could do Blue Gil Thunder, maybe Blue Jericho if your team's primarily blue. Again, you could do the Suicide Stoppers, Athena, and Gearhead with Relic. And then this could be Red Tarmiel, Red Sariel, or you could do backline Tarmiel with Relic and then run Green Sariel on the front. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, there's a couple different variants, depends on what you can build. Now, the artifacts that I would use are going to be the 4 Archangel set specifically for Brawl, just going to increase their overall damage. Next team is going to be the Ragnarok team. Now, this isn't a very easy team to build because of the limited units, most noticeably Wedding Bryn. I did a couple PvP videos on this. This essentially drops the debuffs from her, triggering debuffs from him, and then the weak point can one-shot a lot of teams. Deanne is probably the most flexible slot. This is probably just going to be Freyr instead of Deanne, so again, not the most available unit. And then you're going to have Ragbon in the back. Now, the card set is going to be the Ragnarok set that increases basic stats, but I don't have it because I got lazy, so don't have that. If you don't have it, then I would probably just run either your best CC or your best attack cards for this team. Now, the next team is going to be the King team. Now, this is with a debuff core with Kyo and Zell, and then we have Gother to rank up King, and there is a lot of one-shot potential there. Now, he also does have a couple variants, most noticeably if you don't have the debuff core, then you could do Ludo, and then one of your more classic backline units such as Bond, Death Pierce, Mela, Athena, or Relic with Gearhead. And then if you didn't have a well-built Ludo, you could kind of mix and match any of these units, including the Christmas Elaine, I think it's Spring Elaine, she's like blue Elaine, she's called like Scent of Spring or something like that, and then Lolly Merlin. So you can mix and match any of them, and King kind of pops off. Now, card set I would use for this is also a Brawl specific set for fairies. This is going to increase their basic stats. Next is the Purgatory Ban comp with himself and Excal Arthur at the core. A lot of times you will see a Twigo sub because of his HP boosting effect. And then the third slot has kind of recently been the collab slot with Reinhard. Before him was Terry / Kyo. And then if you don't have any of the collab units back in PvP, this used to be the one, and it can also be Red Easton for some ult control. Now, the artifacts for them are going to be pretty simple and pretty obvious. You're just going to run your best HP ones and throw those in. The last team I'm going to talk about is the Demon team. This has a lot of recent additions, most noticeably Festarossa and Ominous Nebula Zeldris. So there are a couple different variants you could do. Trader Melee is a very popular one. If he's in use already, then you could do the Assault Mode Melee. Zeldris could also be Red Zeldris, and then if you don't have Esta, you could do like Trader Melee Kusak for the single target amps. You could do Demon Hendy here if you wanted to maximize AoE darkness stacks. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, it's going to depend on your demons. And then Green Mela in the back, because she's also a demon, got stat boosting effects. And if you don't have Green Mela, like I mentioned before, the popular backline units of Ragbon, Death Pierce, Athena, and Gearhead with her Relic. Now, the artifact set that you would use here is going to be the Demon set, which is going to increase their damage dealt to other races and decrease their damage taken. The last aspect of team building I'm going to touch on is editing AI. Now, I will start off by saying this isn't 100% necessary. Even in top 100, we don't always have to have custom AIs. Obviously, it's going to make all the teams that much better, but you know, who wants to try that hard in Brawl? The only teams that really need custom AI is going to be Bon, because you really want to make sure that all he's doing is buffing, stancing, and rushing ult, and then only attacking as like a last resort, or if he's maxed orb with his detonate card. And then anyone using Gother, because you do want to make sure that he is going to rank up the correct person. Now, when you do actually edit your AI, it's going to break it down into 5 different groups, as you can see here. And then within each group, it's going to break down the skill type of that action, and then how you want the action to be played. So if you want it to come out in a specific order, if you want it to target a certain person or meet a certain threshold before it's used, you know, all that is done here. For ultimate moves, incapacitation effects, actual attacks, who you should be buffing. They got an entire rank up section here because they do know how Gother is a little weird on his own. Buffing, recovering, and moving skills. So all that is done here. It is going to be team dependent, and every AI therefore will be different. So it does get pretty complicated, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. So once you finish setting up your teams, you are ready to start brawling. So the next thing we need to understand are matchups. So if I come and look at a person, I want to make sure that I can win 2 out of the 3, which means I want to make sure that I am fighting into something positive. So for example, we have a suicide, a Bon, and a fairy team. Now the best thing that I could probably do here is obviously hunt suicide with Athena, and then I could probably either suicide Ludo or suicide Bon. Probably don't want to suicide Ludo because he's obviously going to out CC, which means there's a good chance King does a lot of damage, maybe taking out Cusack or Trader Melly. Don't want to deal with that, so we will swap suicide to Bon, hunt the middle, and then throw the angels at Ludo. Angels could out CC, so they could win. If they don't go first, then they're probably going to lose. It's all up to the AI. Yeah, so they did get... Oh? Liz? Is she cracked? Oh, okay. My Liz is actually insane. So, first team down. Are we going to hunt the second team? Well, looks like we are. My Suicide Hunter does have double infect and a pretty strong set of AoEs, so it takes out Suicide to me pretty well. So we did win a match, and then as you can see, we take their rank, and then we'll do the same. We'll move on to the next one until we're out of Brawl. Entry tickets. This guy has a mill. That's pretty impressive, but it's also because he's not running Suicide, and because of that, there's nothing for me to Suicide Hunt. I will look at someone else. Looks like we can do that here. Matchup set probably going to look like something like this. Suicide that little fairy comp. Fairy / unknown. This is what I was talking about earlier with the King variants, except they didn't keep King. But it was pretty suicidable there. And then can we hunt this team down? Well, it looks like we can. Trader Melly does pop off, okay. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you play matchups that you know you can win. And then if you don't, you know, you lose. You don't go anywhere. You just try and go for the next person. Victory reward is available. There's that box I was talking about. And once you get enough coins, you can take a look at the Spoils of War here. Now, Glocks does have a special Brawl shop, like I mentioned. There are 3 sections to the shop: Challenger, Warrior, and Victor. Now, if you look at the top progress bar, it depends on how many purchases you make. So at 20 purchases, you'll get 3 diamonds and unlock the Warrior shop. And then at 40 purchases, you'll get 5 diamonds and unlock the Victor shop. And then once you hit 80 purchases, you'll get 7 gems, and then you can reset the shop. So Challenger, you'll see super basic stuff: Demon Mats, XP pots, and gold chests. Where things start to get a little spicy with SSR pendants, anvils, and bluestones. And then Victor, you'll have your cosmetic mats, purple stones, hammers, and some card packs. Fill it all up, reset it, go again. You'll eventually have a nice steady income of these essential mats that you want, and then about 15 gems, probably a week, maybe a week and a half if you can keep up with it twice a day. So that is pretty much everything within Brawl. If you guys like that, drop a thumbie, maybe a sub if you're into that, and I'll see you in the next one.